Morning, girls. Let's continue with the same chapter, Importance of Oceans. Just now we have seen in the video how the temperature differs at different places and how the temperature is different at different zones. Okay, on the earth when different zones are formed according to the distribution of temperature. So we'll learn some more things about the distribution of temperature today. So let's begin. You must have realized from the above video that there are differences in the temperature of different places on the earth. That means the temperature is not same everywhere on the earth. Fine. Now see, we are here in Mumbai, and here now in Mumbai, if it is hot, does it mean that if we go to Shimla or Kulu Manali, there also it will be same? Obviously not. Shimla, Kulu Manali, these places are cold places. Okay, then those there you feel very cool. Cool breezes are blowing there because the heat, sun heat which those places get is less as compared to Mumbai. Fine. So the temperature is not same everywhere on the earth. Similarly, there is differences in the maximum and minimum temperatures also. Fine. This difference is less in coastal regions, that is regions which are nearest to the sea, while it is more in the regions far away from the sea, that is continentally. Means the people those who are on continent very away from the sea, and the people those who are near the coastal region near the sea. So we'll talk about the people those who are staying in coastal areas near the sea, and people those are staying in continental areas, that is away from the sea. Okay, so in this chapter we'll discuss only about these two places, the temperature differences between the coastal areas and continental areas. Fine. Now see, this means that in regions close to the oceans, seas or large reservoirs, that means a region those are very close to water bodies, near the oceans, near the seas, or near large water reservoirs, means near the river, there is not much difference in the temperature throughout the day. Means throughout the day the temperature is more or less same, not much difference. But the main reason for this is the mixing of vapor released through evaporation of water from these water bodies into air, because continuously the seas and oceans or large reservoirs, due to sun's heat, they are evaporating. Okay, that means lot of water vapor get mixed in the air. So the air there is always a humid air. Okay, always the water vapors are getting mixed in the air, so you don't feel much difference in the temperature. Fine. This vapor in the air absorbs and stores the heat released from the land. And what happens at the same time, these water vapors which have come out from the water bodies, they absorb the air and store the heat released from the land, and from the land also whichever heat comes they absorb and stored. Hence the temperature in the coastal areas remains equable. Equable means remains equal. There is not much difference between the temperatures, because see, sometimes you can realize it, early morning you feel cool, but as it comes to afternoon time, 12 after 12, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, that time when sun is overhead, we start feeling hot, we don't feel that cool. Then again in the evening, night time, again when the land cools down, that time again we start feeling little coolness. Okay, we don't feel that hot then. So in a day also the weather keeps changing, but in coastal areas it is same, equable, you don't find much difference. Clear? See, you have studied that equatorial regions receive near perpendicular sun rays. Okay, we have seen equatorial region receive perpendicular sun rays, and therefore the sunlight is more and those areas are very hot. As a result, these areas get more heat. Whereas the polar regions, now polar regions means North Pole and South Pole, they receive slant rays. Fine. Now this differential heating creates imbalance in the temperature of air in different parts, because some places receive perpendicular rays, some places receive slanting rays, and this leads to formation of belts of high and low pressure on the earth. Now they are not talking about particular place, they are talking about earth. Okay, on the earth near the equator in the center, lot of sun rays, lot of heat is received, and at the poles the rays are slanting, so heat is also less. So with this what happened, some places receive high pressure belt, some places creates low pressure belt. Now wind blow due to the pressure differences in these belts. Now what is pressure differences, I'll explain you. The winds are called, these winds, okay, which creates a pressure differences, they are called planetary winds. Now these winds move the oceanic water in the form of currents. Means what? The currents are warm currents or cold currents. Warm currents move towards cold region and cold currents move towards warm region. Okay, now try to understand. Suppose from the polar regions, okay, now polar region which are very cold, so from polar region which air will blow? Obviously the cold air will blow, right? So from polar region the cold air blows. Now cold air will blow where there are places of hot regions, hot areas. So from polar the air moves to the hotter areas, and from hotter areas the air moves to the cooler areas. Okay, and with this what happens, with this mixing of the air, the temperature, you can see some pressure belts get created. See, this means ocean currents move from equatorial region to polar region. Now at the equator the heat is more, right? Ocean is found at the equator, the heat is more. So ocean current move from equatorial region to polar region, and from polar region to equatorial region, means from cold region to hot region, and from hot region to cold region. Now this leads to the redistribution of heat on the earth. Redistribution with this, see now what will happen if cool air come contacts with the hot air, if they mix up, so it will not be cool, not be hot, it will be a warm air, right? So, and hot air if mixes with cold air also same thing. With this what will happen, the air will not be too cold or too hot, it will be warm. Okay, so this creates a redistribution. The cold currents moving towards the equatorial region make the temperature of the coastal areas in that zone milder, whereas the warm currents coming from the cold region, warm currents coming in the colder region cause the temperature in coastal areas to rise. Understood how they are supplementary to each other? See, from equatorial region the hot waves go, the hot air blows, which goes in polar region and make their temperature little warmer with this cold hot air, and from the polar region whichever cool breezes are blowing, they go to equatorial region and make those areas little warmer, little milder, with a strong heat reduces. That is only given. The cold currents moving towards the equatorial region make the temperature of coastal areas, now coastal areas have more temperature, so that temperature becomes mild because cold currents are moving, and the warm currents coming in the cold region, and cold region receive warm currents from the coastal area, because coastal water, the seas and ocean water is always evaporating, correct? I hope you are getting it, girl. Coastal means near the seas and oceans, the area near seas and ocean, there always the temperature is hot because the water vapors are always evaporating, the heat is more. Therefore the warm currents go from coastal area to the colder region, and what happens with this coming from the colder cause the temperature in coastal areas to rise. Okay, the ocean acts as the controller of global temperatures in the two ways described above. So the ocean act as a controller. So see, the ocean only acts as a controller of global temperature. They're talking about the whole earth. Okay, the oceans have the vast expanse, therefore huge amount of vapor get created. Okay, oceans are big, really, because of the big oceans a huge amount of vapors get created. This process goes on continuously. Vapors are created, then from these coastal areas vapor goes to continental areas, colder region areas, and from cold region areas the air comes to coastal areas. Okay, now this process goes on continuously. From this vapor the earth gets rainfall. Okay, oceans are source of rain, we call it as water cycle, right? The rainwater flows through rivers and streams and finally flows back into the ocean. We know about the water cycle. Rain falls in the river, lakes, oceans, and finally river again goes in oceans. Again from the oceans water evaporates, moves upward, the clouds are formed and rain falls. Okay, so this goes on. This is called water cycle. This makes it clear that the beginning and end of water cycle takes place in oceans. You have learned about water cycle. Okay, so it's the same thing, only they spoke about some water currents, means the temperature, how there is a difference in temperatures. Clear? Do you know, as the regions close to the sea have an equable climate, the density of population is high in these areas. Density of population is high. Population is high in these areas. Why? The coastal regions have always attracted man due to its climate. You also like going to beaches, staying there, eating food. What food do you get in coastal regions? Obviously, you will get fish and the different dishes made with fish, because they're staying near the ocean and the main occupation is fishery, right? So always attracted man due to its climate, abundance of food and various products obtained from the sea. Okay, so many people you will see staying in this area, so population is very high over here. Clear? I know it is little difficult to understand. What you will do after this, you will go through the chapter again. Okay, read it twice, you will understand it in a better way. Clear? And I hope the video must have made your little doubts clear, okay, about the distribution of temperature. Okay, thank you girls, and read the chapter again.